Making the classic roll collar coat. Part 9. Joining the front to the back. Firstly, join the fronts by stitching the collar sections together at the centre back seam. This is where we see the start of the roll collar forming. This goes round the back, forming the under collar. So we join the two fronts together at the centre back of the under collar. So pin right sides together and machine along this seam. Then press open. In preparation for the next stage, we snip into the corners at the shoulder point. Snip as close as you can to the reinforcing stitching at the tailor's tack. This enables you to spread the seam for machining. So here we have our back, right side up. We place the joined fronts on top. Lining up the centre backs, we are going to pin around the back neck edge and then across the shoulder seam. So I'm going to start at the neck point, matching the tailor's tacks here, and pin along the shoulder. Then the same with the other side, making sure the tailor's tacks match. Pin the centre back point and then around the curve of the back neck. You'll find the seam lines fall into place if you have cut your pattern accurately. Try and get a pin exactly at the position of the tailor's tacks. This is where we will pivot when we machine. I think this is the trickiest part of this coat, so take your time. Use more pins if you want to. We will be machining from one shoulder point around the back neck edge to the other shoulder point. So, at the machine, stitch slowly . You want to make sure that your stay stitching remains within the seam allowance. When you reach the tailor's tack and the point of your reinforcing stitches, with the needle down, pivot and stitch along the back neck edge. Adjust the fullness so that you are not stitching over folds of fabric. Slowly over pins as usual. This is a good close-up and shows you quite clearly how to tackle this step. Once we remove all the pins, we need to do some trimming and clip curves. We can see from these close-ups that the corners are pretty neat. If your corners aren't as good, don't worry too much, as this area is partially hidden by the finished collar. The neck edge is clipped so that it will spread out when pressed open. All the unnecessary fabric within the seam is trimmed away to reduce bulk. Trimming these corners away will improve the finish on the right side. Be careful though, if your fabric frays easily, don't get too close to the stitching line. Now, pressing this seam is one of the awkward jobs. I like to use my sleeve board or tailor's ham, anything that helps you isolate the section you want to press. I also find it's best to use a small piece of pressing cloth. That's one shoulder seam pressed. I'm flattening that corner as best I can and pressing along the back neck edge. Mind your fingers, of course. Then the other corner at the neck point. That's not at all bad. Here it is on the stand to show the progress of the roll collar. It looks a bit flimsy without the interfaced top collar, but it gives you an idea of how this particular collar works. It's going to look great. Next, we're going to add the front facings to complete the roll collar. Sewing tutorials supported by AngelaKane.com membership, sewing pattern sales and fan funding. For news of up-and-coming videos, please subscribe to our channel. Once subscribed, set your preferences to be notified by email. Thank you very much for watching.